Anatomy is the branch of biology. Okay, and is the structure. This is structure about our body. And you know what is the smallest unit in our body? That is molecule. Okay, molecule. And molecules togetherly make cells. Cell, a single cell. A single cell is made of molecules. Okay, and a single tissue is made of cells. So cells collectively make tissue, and collection of tissues make an organ in the body, and different organs togetherly make an organ system. Okay, and different organ systems make an organism. So every individual is an organism in itself, in himself, in herself. So you are an organism, I am an organism. And in biology, you study about an organism. Okay. And the system of this organism is similar in all animals and or beings. Okay. So actually, from point of biology, every human being is also called an animal. Okay. So all the living being is an animal actually, from that perspective. Okay. And now, skeletal system. Skeletal system is also a part of the 10 major systems in our body. 10 major systems. Skeletal system is also part of 10 major systems. And skeletal system is study about our bones, different types of bones in the body. You know, not only in yoga, but in other sports also. This anatomy and physiology is taught to experts to become an expert in a sport, in any kind of a sport. Since yoga has also become a sport, so this is very necessary to understand, to know. Okay. So total, there are 206 bones in our body. 206 bones in our body. Okay. And these are divided into different parts, and all these bones support the body. If there are not bones in the body, then you can imagine what type of body would be. Then body would be just a mass of muscles, and body, these muscles can collapse into each other. So the bones support the muscles, organs, and there are different compartments in our body, different sections in the body. Okay. So the bones or skeletal system supports and protects the soft parts of the body. Okay. And this skeletal system is a kind of frame. And our bones also prevents our body from losing its shape. So till a certain age, our bones are developed, certain age. And after that, they don't develop. And when you grow taller or when you finish growing, then you have a specific shape of the bones. And this skeletal system suspends some of the vital organs, preventing from crushing each other, collapsing each other. And this skeletal system or the bones help keep the calcium levels in the blood constant. This is a kind of reservoir. When your body needs calcium, then your body takes calcium from the bones. And when you have pain in your joints or bones, then that means you have deficiency of calcium. That is why doctor prescribes substitute or supplement of calcium. Okay, now how do our bones move? Our bones move because of joints. Without joints, bone cannot move. Without joints, bone cannot move. And all the joints are connected with connective tissues, connective tissues. And what those connective tissues are called? Yes,
Ligament.
ligament. So there are three kinds of connective tissues in the body. You have just heard about tissues, that tissues are made of, you know, different cells and tissues. There are different types of tissues, and one type is called connective tissues. Okay, and ligament is a kind of connective tissues. There are two other connective tissues. Second is called tendons. Okay, and tendon connects bone to muscles. Okay, tendon connects bone to muscles. Ligament bone to bone, tendons bone to muscles. And their third connective tissue is called fascia. Fascia, fascia, that connects muscle to muscles or skin to muscles. Now, there are major 21 bones in the body. Actually, all 206 bones are very important, but there are major 21 bones. And the sacral chakra is connected with this. Sacral chakra is there. And coccyx. You know, at coccyx we have the end of our spinal cord, what we call the root chakra. Third is femur. Femur is the longest bone in the body, the longest femur that supports our thigh, hamstrings, these muscles. Fourth is patella. This is, you know, kneecap. Five is fibula and tibia. So in our leg, there are two bones, different bones. Our leg looks single, but that contains two bones, fibula and tibia. Okay, and uh, football players, football players or the hockey players, they injure these bones frequently because they run and they fall down, and that gets broken down. Or in martial arts also, if they're not careful, then any of these two bones get broken or hurt. Seventh is tarsals. Tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. Similarly, there are bones, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges in our hands as well. Okay. So the structure of the bones in feet and hands are similar, but names are different. Joints are similar, names are different. Tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. You understand these three, then you understand three in our hands. Okay. Now, in the head, there is cranium bone, then mandible, then clavicle. Okay. 12. 30 is sternum. At this point, the thymus gland is there, thymus gland. And then rib cage, ribs. Rib cage protects the lungs and some parts of our diaphragm also, upper parts of the diaphragm. And then in our arm, bone is called humerus. Then pelvic area, where pelvic floor is placed. Behind that, there is pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle. Then 17th bone is radius and ulna in our, wrist. Radius and ulna. These are two bones, different bones. And you have seen carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. So these are 21 major bones in our bodies, in whole skeletal system in the body. What holds the skeleton together? As I have already spoken about, ligaments and tendons. Okay, ligaments and tendons are part of our joints, and they join each other and they support also the bones. They support the bones. And when there is injury in these ligaments or tendons, then there is no medicine. There is no medicine to heal them. But nutritious foods, nutrients, and the prana energy. Prana energy. They only heal or rest. When there is injury in them, then doctors advise bed rest. And if you exert that, if you work on that, then again that will come in worst situation. So during injury, this is better to relax them, to not move or make them active. Now, when tendon is overstretched or torn, this is called strain. Okay, strain. Tendons is overstretched and torn during hard yoga exercises, or when you practice yoga in very competitive environment, or when you are very ambitious, when you practice yoga very aggressively, then practitioner stretches and tears the tendon. That is called strain. And sprain. Sprain is when ligament is affected. That is called a sprain. A sprain and a strain. Let us understand what are the joints, their functions and types. There are mainly three types of joints. One is called fibrous. Fibrous joints are not movable. They are absolutely immovable. They cannot move. These joints. These joints are just to join the bones, but they cannot move. Second is cartilaginous joint. That is partially movable. And third is synovial joint. That is completely freely movable. Freely. Even the synovial joints are also not freely movable in the stiff people who do not practice yoga, who do not open or mobilize the joints. That is why you note that in every session we first practice the joints opening and joints mobilization to move freely in different directions. Okay. So this joint opening is very important exercise in yoga, and that should be practiced in the beginning before coming into practice, either of warming up or the main feature asanas. Okay. Now understand fibrous joint. Fibrous joints don't have cavity, and they are held together by fibrous tissues. That is why its name is fibrous joints. And now please look into the book. We have given a table, and please look into this table. Fibrous joint, suture, syndesmosis, and gomphosis. There are three types of fibrous joints. And you can see the suture joint is found in our skull, between the skull bones. Okay. And syndesmosis, that is found in ends of tibia and fibula in lower leg. See, these fibrous joints, these are absolutely immovable and are joined by fibers. Now, gomphosis, the roots of the teeth is gomphosis joint. Okay, these are also joints. Now, second type of joint is called cartilaginous joints. These joints occur where the connection between the articulating bones is made up of cartilage, like between vertebra and the spine. Between the vertebra and the spine, we have 33 vertebra, right? In vertebral column, there are 33 pieces, and on these joints are called cartilaginous joints. So in all back bending asanas, you make this joint, cartilaginous joints, flexible. And synchondroses are temporary joints which are only present in children till puberty, till the end of puberty. And after that, that is not found. And symphysis joint are permanent cartilaginous joint, for example, the pubic symphysis. So that is cartilaginous joints. These are partially movable. So that's why you can move your back partially. The vertebra. You cannot move. You can move in the forward or backward. You cannot rotate that. So that is why this is partially. Now, third, which is most important joint, and you must understand this because this plays a great role in our body movement. When we turn our neck, that is because of synovial joint. When you move our shoulder girdle, shoulder sockets, that's because of synovial joints. So now let us understand what are synovial joints. Now please look into the book now. We have given a diagram and there are 6 types of synovial joints. First is pivot joint. Okay. Pivot joint you can find in our neck. So this turns to the left and right. The first and second cervical vertebra, which allows for side-to-side rotation of the head. Only side. Rotation. When I tell rotation. Second type of joint is called hinge joint. Hinge of elbow, like door hinge. Yes, hinge joint, elbow. This is called hinge joint, both elbows. Third joint is called saddle joint. Saddle, you find there is carpal bones, between the trapezium carpal bone and the first metacarpal bone at the base of the thumb. That's called saddle joint. And fourth is plane joint. Okay, between the tarsal bones of the foot, in both of the feet, you find these plane joints. Please look into the diagram. I'm explaining, and your sight should be at that figure so that you can see, you can understand that. Okay, plane joint. Fifth is condyloid joint. The radiocarpal joint of the wrist is called condyloid joint. We move wrist joint, okay, in this way, in this circle way. And sixth is called ball and socket joint. Hip and shoulder joints are the only ball and socket joints in the body. Hips and shoulders. Now we come into the joint movements. See, joint movements are part of biomechanics. When you will study biomechanics, then I have given the reference of this chapter. You'll find that. Then I will refer to this part of the skeletal system. So therefore, understand this clearly. What are joint movements? Okay. Yeah. So first movement is called gliding. Gliding. Fingers, like this is gliding movement. This. Apart. Fingers are here and then you take apart. It's called gliding. Finger movements. Okay. And next two movements are very popular. You know very well, I think. Flexion and extension. Okay. Flexion is this and extension. Extend. This is very clear. Flexion, when you usually bring two bones closer together, that is called flexion. And when they go apart, that is called extension. This is very clear. Yeah. Now, abduction and adduction, these also look similar, but slightly different. Abduction is moving away a limb from your body, midline of the body. From the midline of the body, that's called abduction. When you practice standing Hastpada Angushthasana, when you take your leg and apart, that is called abduction. So this is abduction and adduction. Abduction is taking apart from your midline of the body. Now, Next is circumduction. Circumduction is moving in circular motion. The shoulders, the saddle joint of the thumb, you move in circular motion. That's called circumduction. Hyperextension is when you take your head back. Okay. Hyperextension is this. Yeah. Next is protraction and retraction. Protraction is when you move up, forward. That's called protraction. Like this. Yeah. This one. And retraction when that comes back, moving the jaw back to the original position. That is called retraction. Or pulling back or squaring of the shoulder is retraction. Next is elevation and depression. Sometimes in yoga, these two words are also used. Elevation and depression. Welcome back, Alice. Yeah. So we are talking about abduction and adduction. Abduction is taking away from the midline of the body, and adduction is bringing back to the midline. That's called adduction. Circumduction is moving in circular motion. Hyperextension is extending, when you extend deeply, like in Ustrasana. Protraction and retraction. Protraction is when you take your jaw upward, forward. That's called protraction. And when that comes in back in the normal position, that is called retraction. Okay. And elevation and depression. Elevation is this, and depression is bringing down. Elevate and depress. Elevate and depress. Okay. Now next is rotation. Rotation of a part of the body. Hip and shoulder joints. Hip and shoulder joints. Like twisting arm or shaking head from side to side. This is called rotation. See, you rotate this, rotate. In this, and also in legs, when you practice joints opening, then you do this, leg rotations. Yeah. Now, you must understand the next one very clearly. Next is supination and pronation. Supination and pronation, yes. So these two words are very popular in yoga, in asanas. When I say supine asanas and prone asanas, okay. Supine asanas are when you practice on back, or that is supine. And prone is when your head is forward, towards the floor. That is towards the earth is prone asanas. Similarly in wrist, this is supine and this is prone. Yes, supine and prone, yeah. And next is apposition. Okay, apposition. When you practice mudras, then this is called opposition to each other. Opposition. It's called opposition. Now, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. We practice this in ankle movements. Okay, in ankle movements, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Inversion, aversion. When you touch when you touch this, feet, toes, inversion, aversion, inversion, aversion. This one. So these are joints. And next is joint mobility exercises. Joint mobility exercises. What you do every day, in the morning, or whenever you practice yoga, either in the morning or in the evening, you must begin, especially in the morning, because when you sleep, your body sleeps and your body becomes stiff. So in the morning, you have to open all the joints and then warm up and then yoga. Otherwise, if you try to practice yoga directly, then you may injure your joints, or you can tear also, you may tear your muscle also. So to avoid this, first joint opening, then warming up, and then Surya Namaskar. Clear?